Okay, this is a double exposure that Mom took. I am not certain of the gardens. For some reason, the name Sherwood Gardens comes to mind. And the little baby, as Mary Jean, this is born in Boston. There I am. That would be first grade or kindergarten age, about 5. Bethy there is 3, and that's a little neighbor child. This is the picture with both of us, or the children. That's on the grounds of the Marine Public Hospital in Boston. We lived on the grounds of the airport, of the naval base, not naval base, but public health hospital. And it was like a campus. I have revisited. There's Dad in his Coast Guard uniform. The Coast Guard and Public Health Service was part of the Coast Guard, part of the Navy type uniforms. This would have been about 1945, and that's the grounds of the Boston Public Health Hospital. It's still there. I have revisited it. I remember at the time that I was active in playing with tin soldiers, and there was a big play area with the swings. I remember I cut my fingers there. There's Bethy. Now this, for some reason, looks like New York to me. We'll just have to see when the thing pans back here. Now this is even younger. This is back in Baltimore now, and this would have been at my age about 3.5. Notice the missing front teeth. I'd fallen and banged them out. We had lived down on the Outer Banks of North Carolina and then moved back to the row houses. As you can see, the family wasn't too flush with money. Bethy has this old tricycle. Anyway, I fell on the tar that you can see coming up between the sections of the sidewalk. This was also a place where there was a creek down at the bottom of this hill, and I used to play in the water. I'd come home and Mom would spank me, and I'd keep doing it again and again, and she would finally ask me if I knew I was going to get a spanking, how come I kept doing it. And she said it kind of broke her heart that I said, well, I just considered that it was worth it. Okay, now this is a picture of Bethy throwing rocks. This is Chesapeake Bay. Again, probably at the time that we lived in Baltimore. We did live there twice. We lived there from the time I was 2 until maybe 3, then Kitty Hawk, North Carolina for 6 months, and then back to Baltimore, and then on to Boston. On my monitor, I can't see what this is. It looks like it's Christmas lights, but I simply can't be certain. Yes, yeah, this is Christmas. I'm going to suspect that this is, I can't really see what house it is. Well, this is, I can see looking at, this is the house in New York. Now this would be my, no, this is Chicago. This there's Bethy. It's hard to guess our ages from these pictures. With Cynthia there being about 7, looks like to me. 5 to 7, that would put me at about 16 in that picture. This is me playing flag raising at camp. I think that probably was a church camp. I don't recall going to church camp at that age, other than maybe to just go on the weekend. Okay, now this is a picture of Dad and me. Again, I would guess that this is, judging by the ages, this would be the Baltimore years. Yes, yeah, there's, see, that's about age 3 for me, and that's Bethy at about somewhere around a year. Mom, again, this is the shores of Chesapeake Bay. This would have been the very first time that we lived in the Baltimore area. Probably a Sunday when we've gone out for a drive. Yeah, this is the Baltimore row house. This would have been somewhere age toward the end of my second year, and there's this is now Beth in the crib, or in the bassinet. She's looks like 6 months or so. This jumps around again. This is Baltimore. Toward the end of that time, I looked to be about 3. There were some construction areas there with big cement pipes, like drainage pipes. We used to go over and play in those, jump off them, and in this behind these row houses that we lived in. Row houses being rather typical of the Baltimore area, and I understand still rather typical. That's Beth in whatever you call a baby warmer. Notice the baby buggies, you hardly see those in this country anymore. Okay, now here we are. Now this, even though I called that first double exposure Sherwood Gardens, I don't believe it was. I think that was another gardens. I think Sherwood Gardens are these gardens in the Baltimore area. And those are azaleas. Another Sunday, I'm not sure what it is I'm playing with there, but you kind of see the examples of the clothing, and there's okay, clothing. There's Bethy at less than a year, me at 2+, probably somewhere around 2.5. Even though it was the war years, that's Bethy's first birthday cake. That would be, I'd be just a little over 3 in that picture. And again, a double exposure, just to let Mom off the hook. This camera that she had was called a 88mm, and it was actually a 16mm film. And you had to take one side of the film and then flip it over and take it back the other way. Then when it was developed, it was split in half. And so Mom would take these pictures and forget that, which side of the film that she was on. That's what led to so many of these double exposures. It really was a difficult system. The pictures of this car, I'm assuming this is the same car that we had the whole time. It was a a 1940 Ford fastback, two-door, and this was the car that we eventually crossed the country in. I can barely see this. This looks like pictures of sledding, but where they're located. It's a picture, I recognize that. Okay, let's see if I can see what this is. I know that Beth. And yeah, there's Bethy. Again, this is slightly over a year. I think this is probably Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Some of the pictures, at least. I am having difficulty seeing. Yeah, this is my house in the beach. This is, I made a play area out of orange crates that washed ocean, and I had them designated as various parts of the house, different appliances. The other picture in the background is again back in Baltimore. We only stayed for 6 months, Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, and it is one of my earliest and most vivid memories. Dad and I were cutting lumber and for the potbelly wood-powered stove that we had in this beach house, and Mom came out of the house, and Franklin Delano Roosevelt, that gives you involved, and now this is a third birthday for somebody. Looks like no fourth birthday I can see. I guess it's, yeah, that must be mine, because I'm opening the card. And Beth, I don't know who else pictured. Age 4 would have been Baltimore. And here's some kids coming to call. Coming up a stairway like that, I don't recognize, other than I'm guessing that it's the lawn. I don't remember who these little children are, obviously from that age. Well, it looks like I got a cowboy outfit, probably Tom Mix. Ah, yes, good old Tom. Okay, now this looks to me like Boston again, the campus area in Boston. It was a much prettier area. Yeah, I'm sure that's what it is, because I remember the sprinklers. I accused Beth for a long time of causing a cut. She sprayed the hose in my eyes as I was running trying to catch her, and I fell over a wagon or some such thing and cut my foot. This was by far the nicest house that we had lived in up until that time. It was a brick house. It was a duplex, 2-story, much the same appearance as the houses in John Murray and our house in Beverly, that somewhat Georgian style with we'll see if we show it. I remember that they had shutters and white trim, red brick. Certainly were nowhere near as large. Remember also that with Mary Jean being born here, that there was kind of a bay window type arrangement in one of the rooms, and Mom used that bay window as really kind of a nursery area for Mary Jean. For some time, I recall that Mary Jean was referred to as the Boston Bean, having been born in Boston. I really don't recall, but I assume that she was born right in that same hospital that's on that campus area. Now, that's was quite a hill there, and one of the kids had this soapbox derby type car. And this is swinging from a swing type set, and as I said, had a fair number of accidents here, being a typical kid. One time swinging like this and then jumping off the swing from a bigger set that was down by the hospital. I neglected to let go of the twist and cut my hands as I slid down the chain. Also, guessing at the year, it's probably about 35 in that picture, and I guess that'd be Mary Jean at somewhere around 6 to 8 months of age, probably still in Boston. Yeah, there's that red wall was the boundary of the campus for the Marine campus there. And as I said, they had a complete playground right on the place. I don't recall much going off of it, although I know I went off the campus to school, and I have no recollection of the school whatsoever, being kindergarten and only half a day that I don't have any recollection of going to the school at all. I have no anything. Okay, now this is a picture of Mary Jean, and I'm going to try and guess where it was taken, whether this is still in Boston. There's Grandma. Yeah, no, this is the front yard of the house in New York City. That's Grandma Crow, my mother's mother, come to visit us. This house was on Staten Island, New York, and we lived there for the school year 1947 to the spring of 1948. There I am to the left in Beth. I'm 5 or 6 years old now, first grade, and Mary Jean's 1 year old in this picture, so Bethy would be 3 or 4. I'm sorry, 4 years old, and obviously a birthday party. Now is a blue spruce. One of these kids is Eleanor Russo that Cynthia has met and has some contact with. There's Mom with a whole lot of hair. I'd forgotten that she ever had that much. Little toy elephant. There'll be some upcoming scenes of a big snow and a nice Christmas that we had there. When Cynthia and I went back to see this house, it was really remarkable how small it was. I do have some recollections of the first day that we moved into this house. It had been owned by a policeman, and he left covered lead shot filled billy club, like a blackjack, wooden billy club that I kept for years and years, and suddenly disappeared. It's no longer in our stuff that I'm aware of. Also, on the first day that we moved into this house, I was sucking on the U-shaped paper handle. That's the front of the house. And I chewed the wood off and then swallowed it. It was too big to get down. And that's Aunt Helen. That's Ilka Nini's daughter Helen that committed suicide. No. That's Aunt Louise and Uncle Bud and Beth. And that's looking up the hill where the Russo's house is. It would be, and they're carrying, looking across the street. Anyway, it took about 2 or 3 hours for that damn sucker to melt. that, I think, was, yeah, that's the Aunt Helen that I was trying to remember. I'll be darned. As you may or may not committed suicide. Now, I don't know where these pictures are taken. I can't tell yet. Although I'm suspecting that it's the Atlantic. I remember one trip that we made up to Plymouth Rock and Maine, and this may well be some of it, but I really have no idea. We have obviously gone back in time. This is Mary Jean at less than a year, so this was a side trip from Boston. It looked like Grandpa Kovacs there in the background. This is Beth stalking, remembering that she. And there's a picture of my dad. This is on the Boston campus again of the public health hospital. And another recollection at that time was Dad went deer hunting up in Maine, actually came home. There's the house. See the similarity to, there's Grandma Crow. There's that 40 Ford Fastback that we are eventually 2 years later to drive all the way across the country pulling our trailer. Anyway, Dad came home with a deer strapped over the front of that fender. Now, this is back in New York. That's the Staten Island Ferry. And at that time, the Verrazzano Narrows Bridge was not constructed, and so ferry was really the only way to come. The Empire State Building, Chrysler Building there in the background, and that's the Statue of Liberty. Big ocean-going tanker is coming across, and there's another picture of the type of ferries. I think you can tell, comparing to the ones that we see now, how much smaller it is. This is the Tarley Place home, and skating right before that. Just down at this block, the way I'm going in the left turn, and down one additional block was the penny candy store where I'd go the moment Mom gave me an allowance. Right up that hill where the sidewalk ends is Russo's house. And there's Mary Jean at a little over a year. And I'd go down there and buy, there's Grandma, would buy also model airplane gliders. That's Russo's house up in the background. And Mary Jean and I suppose Beth coming down the hill. Yeah, that's Bethy. Neighbor kid. I think these stairs went up to Russo's. From our side, there was just a gravel path, but I think they had a cement sidewalk in front. Now, I don't remember who this kid is. He probably might be one of the Russo kids, but I'm not sure. Seeing as how I was enthralled with blondes, that blonde might have been Eleanor Russo. There's Beth and Cynthia. That's the driveway of our house. Okay, that's obviously Mary Jean. Bethy. Bethy with her bugs.
That's Aunt Helen to the left, and I'm not sure who that is to the right, but that's Ilka Nini. There's Grandpa Kovacs, and that is Uncle Louie. Okay, and there's Aunt Helen is in the middle, the daughter of Ilka Nini, and Mom. I'm not sure who's to the left. Probably one of that. There's Grandpa Kovacs. There's Grandma Crow carrying. There's Grandpa Kovacs and me again. Looks like some kind of a boat. Although where, I can't imagine. Grandpa Kovacs. A little man, only stood about 5'1", and I don't know if there'll be any pictures where you can see his hands, but they were immense. Grandpa. This is probably down on Lake Erie. I'm guessing since all those people were from the Cleveland area, that were down in some kind of a beach area with everyone there. Dad bird watching again. Typical pose. Grandma Crow in a bathing suit, I'll be darned. That's Cynthia. Mary Jean. Beth and me. Harassing the sister. Grandma Crow and Mary Jean. Okay, there's a picture of Bethy. This looks like an inside picture, or else very faint with a lot of shade. I think they're getting ready maybe to use the buggy. This is the front of the house in New York again. Yes, this is the Christmas that I mentioned, and this is Mom in about 1947. She's 36 years old, and there's Mary Jean at a little over a year, Bethy at 4.5, and me at 6.5. coming down for Christmas. This was an upstairs house. We slept upstairs, coal powered. Let's see, what do we get here? Some kind of a neckerchief. Toothless. Bethy looking through her stocking. Oh, that's a plastic pencil case. Look, pencils across the top, crayons on the bottom, and it's eraser in front of the trigger. Beth got this hat that she looks really thrilled to have received. Oh, this was the big snow. This would have been the winter of, let's see, 47, 48 in New York. Very unusual. Had an enormous snow. There's a little, I don't believe that was an electric train. I believe it was a wind-up. But that snow was probably about 18 to 20 inches deep. Yeah, I can see now there's no middle track. It was a wind-up train. And Mary Jean couldn't help grabbing at the train car when it came by. Giving a whole narration there. If you could read lips, you'd know what I was saying. Probably not anything exciting, but I sure liked that train. Bethy showing off her doll. Mary Jean, now one of these, she's just overwhelmed here. She just can't believe how happy she is. Look at those eyes sparkle. Oh my gosh, look at this stuff. I got more stuff. Oh yeah, had a little toolkit, I remember that. Had a hammer and a saw, screwdriver. This was an interesting time. My school had a project that fathers and sons were to build a boat. And Dad's was very rudimentary, but I thought it was nice until I saw what the other kids' fathers. Now this is heading west, and judging by the mountains, this looks to me like the Tetons. Yeah, there's Dad chasing up a sharp tail. Yeah, that's Tetons. That's the moraine in front of Jenny Lake. But when Dad got transferred from New York to Seattle, he had... Okay, pick this back up again. Anyway, Dad had an awful lot of unused leave, and this was one of the first kind of antisocial, or only antisocial things I know that Dad ever did. He had accrued 6 weeks of leave. This is West Thumb, this is Yellowstone Lake. Anyway, what he had done was he'd applied for leave en route in typical government fashion. They had basically never answered his request. He knew that he was sitting on a situation that couldn't be any better. He was going to be the only urologist in Seattle. So basically he just took the leave en route even though it hadn't been authorized. And when he arrived, he was, they really questioned him, where the hell have you been? And he said, well, gee, I don't think there's any reason you wouldn't grant my leave. So we spent 3 weeks in Yellowstone and the rest of the time traveling across the country, a good bit of time in Glacier. This is the rental boats on Yellowstone Lake. We caught great numbers of cutthroat trout. Really had a marvelous time. I'm trying to see who these people are. I suspect that that's the Plants and the Clarks. Must have been some kind of a chuck wagon breakfast or dinner, something like that, that we went on. This is the shores of Yellowstone Lake, and I've been back here several times to fish. He was even able to find the sandbar where Dad first taught me to fly fish. Oh wait, this is back in Yellowstone, but this is Cynthia at a much older age. This is on the trip that I didn't go on out in the Tetons, I believe. Yeah, that's the Tetons, all right. And this was one of the family vacations at a dude ranch that Mom and Dad took kind of to pay her back, because once the rest of us were out of the house, the number of family vacations decreased markedly. And I suspect that rather than Yellowstone, that this is either Jenny Lake or Jackson Lake. Yeah, that's Jenny Lake. I know the background from having done some climbing in this area. No, this is back from when we were kids. This is the Clarks to the left. That's Max and Mary, and then the Plants are the couple to the right. These are cutthroat trout from Yellowstone Lake, and the biggest one in there was one that Mom caught. We caught them all on flies. A fly called a green sedge that Dad had, and it was a wet fly. And we caught it just hanging it over the edge of the boat, not doing any casting. Dad would occasionally rent the boat and go out and do some casting in the evenings without anybody else in the boat for safety's reason. That tent camper was what the Plants and Clarks were in. Yellowstone, or that's one of the geysers. I think that's Daisy geyser with that angling shot like that. Yeah, the Old Faithful goes straight up. This is Old Faithful. I recognize the area we're waiting for the board to go off. And there's Mary Jean at just slightly less than 2. She's about 1.5 to 1 3/4. This would have been summertime of 1948. There's Old Faithful. They used to cut ice out of the lake in the wintertime with saws and store it. We'd go down and get the ice from an ice house and bring it back, put it in our refrigerator. This is the West Thumb campground, and here the Clarks are taking down their tent trailer, heading back to Seattle, which is where we were going also. And so, as you're aware, Max and Mary stayed good friends with Dad and Mom for years and years. This is still in Yellowstone, and that's Dad. He's eating fish and giving little pieces of it to Mary Jean. She was not. I think she liked it okay. There's some pictures coming up here of where I'm pointing at the plate and say, "Oh my God, fish again." But you know, Dad, he'll eat fish every meal for weeks at a go, and so he was happy as a clam, but we were not so thrilled. See, fish again. Look at this. You can tell I've seen these pictures before. Milk. You notice milk in an old milk bottle. There's our gals all dressed up. This is still on that western trip, and we spent a lot of time there. Did an awful lot of very nice things. The fishing was certainly spectacular. There's a moose. This is at Yellowstone. Beth had continued her interest in bugs, and I think there's some pictures here. Yeah, she's going to try and catch butterflies off this big moose pie that's in the middle of the road. Fortunately, I think the butterfly took off. Oh, here comes the helper. She's going to be very upset. We really did have a lot of fun. We would attend naturalist lectures in the evening, and it was very informal, not like now with everything being slideshows and recorded. Would talk to us, and we'd stay, and Dad would talk to him. And this is going to the Sun Highway at Glacier. Notice the stratified layers. This is typical of the mountains up in the glacier area. They're not the craggy granite right at the top of the pass. These little chipmunks and the deer Ritz crackers. I think you'll see that they come right up to us. Mom was taking pictures. Hike here to a spot called Hidden Lake, and I think Susan and Mike have made the same trek back in Seattle in British Columbia. You can see, even though it's summertime, that this is the Grand Coulee Dam in Idaho on the Columbia River. I think the Columbia or the Snake there. I think it's the Columbia though. And it's not, as you can see, it's not a high dam, but tremendously wide. Okay, now this is in a motel on the way to Seattle, and that's Bethy's birthday party, so this would be August 4th of 1948. And the big fishing net was Beth's present from Dad. It was to be a butterfly net, and he had spent a great deal of time convincing Mom that the mesh would close enough that Beth could use it. Mom was never really convinced. One of these pictures might have been Mom's famous glacier cake, or geyser cake. She tried to cook like a sponge cake at this altitude, and the recipe substantially different. So the cake had great big holes in it because of the lower atmospheric pressure at those altitudes. Looks like maybe this was a joint birthday party, because there's Mary Jean opening some presents too. Ah, there's a bear. Everybody stopped checking out the bear. I think I can. Now this is up on the Cook City Highway. This is out the east, northeast entrance of Yellowstone, up toward the northeast Montana side, and we had all wanted to go up to snow. Once we got up there, it was so damn cold, and all we did was stand around with our hands in our pockets. And Dad's trying to say, "Come on, you kids wanted to see the snow. Here you go. Let's do something." So we all got snowballs here. We're gonna chunk them at Mom. And there was a big pile of rocks. Dad's trying to cut it as thin as he can. I think everybody succeeds in missing Mom. Anyway, there was this big stack of rocks, and kind of like a large scree. As I recall, there it is, and we all climbed. Some of us climbed up there. I think Dad and I did. I'm not sure whether Mary Jean or Beth, or I don't think Mary Jean would. I'm sure Beth did, but at least Dad and I climbed up to the top of this. There we are. That's what we do. We stayed camped most of the time at West Thumb, a place that no longer exists, as a campground, and then moved to the northern part of the place, there's Old Faithful again, to the Mammoth Hot Springs. And there's some pictures coming up of, they had a swimming pool that was fed by the hot springs. It's also no longer. And these are the hot spring terraces and pools. I think we've got some pictures of Dad going off the diving board also.
Yeah, here's somebody feeding a bear. I can pretty well assure you it was not Dad. He wouldn't do things like that.
This is the Yellowstone River and the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone, taken from the lower falls. The lower falls is actually the higher of them. It's 308 feet. The brilliant color is much brighter than the Grand Canyon in Arizona. Enough mist that there's some foliage on those walls also. Bailey moss and things like that give it a greenish tint against the yellow. Very, very beautiful. There's the falls. This is the falls that when Matt was a little kid, we walked down to. He was about 3 years old, and he kept trying to pull out of my grasp. And we got to that edge of that falls, and he looked over the edge and said, "Got to hold tighter. Bye-bye, Matthew." He loves hearing that story. Okay, now let's see. Where's this? Well, it's coming home from... This has got to be Seattle, if these are in sequence, and I think they are. This looks like an ice storm. Yeah, this is the backyard of our house in Seattle, in Renton, actually, and I have been able to go back and find the house. I don't remember the address, but we had a half acre of land here, had this backyard with enough of a hill that we could do, as you see, a little sledding on it. There was a chicken coop, strawberry patch, regular garden, and fruit trees. And it was a two-car garage underneath the house, and quite unusual. There's our trailer park next to the house. That's the old house. Driveway right here to the left went down along the property and then curled under. There was a garage underneath the house. This street went on up the hill. It's funny, and then we did a lot of roller skating on that cement driveway. There's the tricycle. We had two. We had that size tricycle and then a real small one. So I was in second grade here. All these moves that we made fortunately coincided with the school years, and so we never had to leave school in the middle of a school year. Went to all of second grade here. There's Beth and Mary Jean going down our driveway and out along the street. Funny, my recollection was this house was way out in the boonies. It's really only about a half a block from the major center of Renton, Washington, and where we lived in the house trailer is still a trailer park on the shores of Lake Washington, right by the Boeing plant. And anyway, this was the only school that I went to where I had to ride the school bus and stay at school for lunch. There's the very talented second grade roller skater, also terribly nonchalant. Like that Soupy Sales hat there. let's see. This is Chicago now. That was Dutch that just went running by. And because coming home from school, kids carrying. There's Dutch. Very first dog we had. Wonderful dog. Wonderful hunting dog. It's a German short-haired pointer. There's Bethy. Now this jumps forward. This is going to be sometime after 1949. And the fact that we had a two-wheel bicycle, I think I was older than 11 by now, because Grandpa gave us, gave me, and there's a new baby, so that'd be Cynthia. So yeah, that would be 11 that I was. As I recall, I got that bicycle for a birthday present from Grandpa when I was about 11 years old. It was quite a long time. But it was an excellent bike. If I had it now, I could sell it for a lot of money. It was a Roadmaster. Okay, there's Beth with Cynthia. So we're talking 1952 here. Beth has all of these pictures now that you'll see of Bethy and Synth together. It was certainly very obvious early on that Beth really liked to play mother, and she took excellent care of Cynthia. And you have to remember, she was only about 9 years old. But having seen these films at least a couple of times, it comes through again and again how much of the time Beth was playing with Cynthia and like mothering her. It's funny, just in the year past, that I remember one of the things that we used to give Cynthia to play with was some of Mom's silk scarves, and she started to have hives. Somehow, in the last year, that memory came back to me, and I remember asking Cynthia whether she was still allergic to there's Mary Jean with Synth. Anyway, she's still allergic to silk. She was kind of surprised that I was aware of that. Let's see, if Cynthia is just born, then Mary Jean must be about 6 years old. It's the living room of the Levitt Street house. That's the big mirror still on top of the mantle. That's Dad playing with his new girl. Let's see, figure a year here that about 1952, so Dad's about 41 in that picture, and Mom the same. Mary Jean in her cowgirl outfit.
Here's Mary Jean.
having a hard time identifying. I see that's me. And there's Dad. Forest Run, and I don't know where that is. Let's one of the forest preserves. One of our typical Sunday outings, I guess. See if we see anything more here to identify it. Looks like Sin's trying to break out. Looking at these big trees almost makes me think of Itasca. Yeah, that's exactly what this is. This is the one of our other vacation places. This is Itasca State Park in Minnesota. Itasca Lake being the headwaters of the Mississippi River. I don't know exactly how Dad heard about this place, but it became a place that we went several years for a 2-week vacation. Took the trailer up there and did some pretty good fishing. That's when I started getting more interested in swimming. Noticed the fins and mask. Did a little snorkeling. There was a lot of vegetation in this lake. I decided that one time by swimming around that floating pier that you could see out there, I don't know how many hundreds of times it seems like that I swam around that thing to equal a half mile, quarter mile, something like that, but I swam some, for me, significant difference, although it was just swimming pretty much a side stroke kind of thing. It was a really nice place, and we met some nice people. There was a guy up there named Beasley that had a big trailer, and he considered himself the mayor of the campground. And remember one time, it was the first place I could remember what I caught it on. It was a little fly rod sized orange with a black spot flatfish. And Dad and I playing catch. Anyway, it was a beautiful campground. This was in the days when you didn't have to have a reservation, or you could stay any length of time. Let's see here. Now this is back in our house. This is there, come on that Roadmaster bicycle, and I was wearing my patrol belt. So this is some place in 7th or 8th grade, I think is the time. That's our one of our 1949 Fords. That looked to be the 4-door. We did have a 2-door model also. This is the playground at Kellogg, half a mile from our home. This is where we all went to grade school. It's the construction in the background was the construction of Christ the King church. They'd had the Catholic school there, but then they built a much larger church. See it going up there.
Sharon Bush, 635 please. Sharon Bush, 635 please.
We sure spent a lot of time. That was the addition to the school. That's when they added the gymnasium. Went in. We also gained a library and a home ec room with stoves in it, I think. It was completed just in, I think, the year before I graduated from grade school.
It's a wintertime scene, but it's so faint I can't see it on my monitor. But it's the front yard in our house. There's the Forest Preserve fence. heading down to the south on Levitt. Again, that's the 49 Ford that we had. The old 40 Ford that we had. Dad was in an automobile accident on, I think it was Christmas Eve, 1949. He got sandwiched between two CTA streetcars over on Stony Island. Had to quick buy a car. And sometime subsequent to that, he bought another one of the 49 Fords. That was just a two-door model, so we had two of them. They were both your basic Ford black. Okay, Christmas lights.
Okay, now let's see. This is going to be what do we got here? Well, many of our pictures were taken on family vacations. It was time that we all had to spend with each other. Sure looks like somebody's birthday party. Looks like Cynthia. Wonder if that was Gail English's picture. Oh, that's Cynthia, all right. Mary Jean. My monitor were better, I might be able to make out some of these kids, but I really can't tell who they are. Bethy, Mary Jean, the neighborhood kids, and more. Mary Jean, Cynthia's first birthday, 1953. Now this is Peninsula State Park, Door County, Wisconsin. We started going up there because this peninsula stuck out in the lake, and this is crossing a ferry boat over to Washington Island, which is right off the tip of Door County, and we would go up there in early August, live in the trailer, and we took Mom up there, or Dad did, because of there being no ragweed. She had just absolutely vicious, horrible asthma and hay fever at that time, and she could be comfortable at Door County. I've been back here several times, and Dad would come up. This is a fire tower, and the Sons were the ones I think kind of put us onto this place. That they also had a trailer up there that they left. They didn't even bring it home. They moved it into a farmer's barn. There was a golf course on this place, and we really had a wonderful time. Dad and Grandpa and I had built a canoe, and there should be some pictures of the canoe, and we did some fishing. We weren't totally successful, but enough to keep us having a good time. And there was an old soda fosh shop. We'd go across to the town of Fish Creek and get lemon lime and cherry phosphates. And it was very beautiful. It's very reminiscent of the East. Let's see, now that's Grandma Crow. Now that's Uncle Raj, Mom's brother, Roger Crow, and that's his wife, Lynn. That's our cousin, Darcy, Douglas Roger Crow. And this is back in the house in Chicago. Raj was the Navy pilot, career type. Understand he taught school after he got out of the military out in San Diego, and I think he's been in touch with Beth quite a bit, but the rest of us haven't had any contact with him. There was some kind of a major disagreement between Mom and him over, I think, Grandma's inheritance, some kind of thing like that, so there'd been no contact. Mary Jean, or I'm sorry, Cynthia, at about less than a year. This must be Christmas 1952? Maybe Thanksgiving, huh? Ah, there's Dutch. It's a big, long dog. He'd bite everybody. What he's doing there, he's got a muzzle on. And we thought we could keep him from biting people by putting a damn muzzle on him. And all he did was he just walked out of the house, laid down like that, and started to go to work, and finally chewed the muzzle off. We couldn't keep it on him in any way, shape, or form. World famous Cynthia May. Terribly photogenic child. There's Beth playing mother again. Beth and Cynthia. I told you that Beth had there's the one of the other 49 Fords. Looks like we're all gussied up. They're probably coming back from church. This is an outdoor band concert.
This is our 8th grade band. That's Cap Sylvester was the name of the little guy that we hired to teach us to play the band. The mothers, actually, the parents contributed
And hired this man for band instruction when we were in grade school. It really wasn't part of the school per se, but the school gave us the time and facilities. The mothers made those uniforms. Now this is a Cub Scout powwow. This was a big festival that we would have with games and contests and Indian type things down at the Ridge Park Field House. It was really a nice time. And this is back at the school, I think, and this is some square dancing that the gym classes would do. I think that's a Mercury in the background. Old Buick, that's a Mercury. High jump. You notice that this was a scissor kind of jump that we did. I lucked out. That looked like next door neighbor's John Murray. That might have been his Packard. This kind of picture is when Mom threaded the camera, she'd get the sprockets not engaged, and so the film wouldn't advance smoothly, and would get this kind of a look. Okay, now this is Christmas, and this is going to be Christmas. Oh boy, the heck? There's Mary Jean and Beth. This is going to be about Christmas again in 1952. I think 52 or 53. That looks. My recollection was that I got some stuff that was aimed at the Boy Scouts, and I think you can join Boy Scouts when you're between 11 and 12. So that's how I'm guessing at the school at the year. Cynthia's less than a year old here, so that is also a tip-off. Here's Mary Jean and her cowgirl outfit that I think showed up before. It's funny to stop to think about that we, back when I was almost same age, had a cowboy outfit back there in Baltimore, and there's Bethy with her parasol, very, very, very fancy. Another doll. Piano. There's good old Dutch again. I think there's a picture of Grandpa in this one of these Christmas sequences too. You know, he lived in the house from about this time until he died 5 or 6 years later. Or no, more than that. About 10 years later. And he had his own room, his own cooking. The only thing he didn't have was a bathroom, but he fit around our life easily, and so we didn't see much of him except when he wanted to. He ate his own food. Yeah, see, there's an old Kovacs sleeping bag. It wasn't a terrible success because I was pretty allergic at the time and might well even have been allergic to the Kovac. Trying to see, I think, as you pan around that end of the living room, I haven't noticed a television set. So at this time, we had no TV. I know the Murrays next door had one. They were one of the first. We used to go over and watch, especially the Ed Sullivan Show, I think. Is Grandpa coming down? No, his dad getting ready to go hunting. His dad, most of the holidays, that's what he liked to do. This is back in Tasca, I think. Although, thinking it could be the, yeah, I think this is a Tasca. Yeah, I kind of remember that bench. There's a real nice story up there. One of the other lakes, Tasca's a big lake, and one of the other, there's a smaller lake where they used to keep a boat chained up, and if you rented the boat for the day, they'd give you the lock key. Hey, you go over and unlock the boat, and Dad took Beth and me over there, and we fished for bluegills using the fly rods with bobbers and worms, and we caught a mess of them. I'm guessing 60, 80 of these little bluegills, and so we had a lot of fish to eat. You notice there wasn't much sand. I'm thinking that that's Sarah Sullivan that lived down the block. She was coming from the right direction anyway. But I'm not certain. Looks like Bethy got a suitcase. That's...
Chair 3636, Chair 3636.
birthday party for Bethy. I think that's Packy Sullivan. Cynthia. Yeah, that's what that is. That's Sarah Sullivan, her brother Packy. I think Packy was short for Patrick. They lived in the last house on the block. It's no longer the last house. They slipped another one in next to the forest preserve. We didn't go to school with those kids because they went to the Catholic school. There's Cynthia. There's Grandpa. The man with the big hands. He was a blacksmith, emigrated from the town of Fiertod, St. Miklos in about 1907, came to the United States, came through Ellis Island. Not sure who that woman is. I imagine that's her daughter, but I can't recognize her. I wonder if this is Cynthia in about a year. Kind of looks like presents. Yeah, 1 year old. 1 year old. So this would be September 1953. What if that lady could be Winnie Aronson, a next door neighbor? Been so long since I've seen some of these people, it's really hard to remember. There's Grandpa in the background. Looked like Grandpa's gonna eat that cake. Very famous bath sequence. This is the upstairs bathroom in house on Levitt Street. Oh, let's see now. That's Beth Fleming, and that is that's May English right there, and her husband died of leukemia, and that's her husband, Miff Rutherford. That's Susan Fleming. I don't recognize that woman back there. That's Dad. I don't know who that man is. So maybe Zelensky. I haven't seen him. So it's Beth Fleming again. This is must be a New Year's Eve party. Looking at these pictures of those blinds, I think this probably took place down at, that's Tom Fleming, just off there with, I think this is taken in the Fleming's house. They lived about 2.5 blocks to the south of us on Levitt Street, same side of the street. Yeah, that's Tom. That's Dad's old hunting, golfing buddy. He's a dentist. Died of a pancreatic carcinoma. He was substantially older than Dad. Susan Fleming. I guess that was probably Gail English. Oh, this is Christmas. It's Mary Jean. My God, looks like we got a television finally. See it there? There's a picture. The photograph above it is Raj, Lynn, and Darcy. Got a basketball. And my grandfather trying to explain something to my dad. See, got to do it like this. Definitely pro talent. Grandpa always wore that hat. I'll tell you, he wore a hat all the time. You see the big lights reflected. Mom had a kind of a light bar arrangement with about 4 floodlights that she had to plug into the wall to get light to take these inside pictures.
John Walker, 636.
out in our little kitchen. This house had such a small kitchen that we had to eat from a. Mom had kind of a counter. The relatives come to visit, had to sleep on the hide-a-bed. Mom got up and there's Aunt Florence. Now that's Florence Masterson. And Bud and Louise, that's Aunt Florence. She was the buyer from Weebolt's. And we got a little white feathered hat on. I'll have to write her, tell her about that. Anyway, this is Thanksgiving. There's Raj and Louise. Let's see who's next there. That's Florence. Anyway, she was our most exotic relative. She wore little spiky heel shoes and smoked cigarettes with a long cigarette holder, and lived in a downtown apartment, traveled all over the world, buying clothes. She'd go to Paris. That's Darcy, our cousin. We'd have to eat the kids on a card table in the living room, and the big people at the dining room table. Bethy going off to Girl Scout camp or coming home. Juniper Knoll. I think maybe it could have been the church camp also, but I'm guessing that it was the Girl Scout camp with the sleeping bag and all, but I'm not certain. I think there are some pictures of Bethy at her Girl Scout camp, so we'll see. Yeah, they're getting ready to take off. This was Mary Jean, constantly in motion. She was the hoppingest, jumpingest kid. Every time you saw her, she was popping up and down. Kids, we did a lot. There's our old 49 Ford, still had it. I think we got that park bench about the time Grandpa came to live with us. He enjoyed sitting out in the yard, reading and dozing. That's my bicycle. Let's see, this is, I think this is probably going to visit Beth at her Girl Scout camp. We'll see. Yeah, that's what it is. Seems to me one of my girlfriends was at the same camp at the time. I can't remember whether it was Charlene Ekblad or Gail Cosbate. But anyway, Beth was in this group, and they were the first year campers, the Reinies, and they had a place instead of up in the open like this. That looks like Sue Gosweller. I think it is. She was in my class. Yeah, that's her. That's Sue Gosweller. And anyway, Beth's group had their tents down in this ravine in the deep trees with a lot of mosquitoes, and Dad named it Mosquito Gulch. I don't know what had happened to Beth. It looked like she probably banged her schnoz on something or other. Most of our camps at that time were 2 weeks long, and So they'd have a middle weekend where the parents would come to visit both my Girl Scout. Now this, I think what I can guess, it's kind of a farm scene. I wonder if this isn't Holden's in Pierpont, Ohio. Yeah, that's where it is. This is Gene and Don Holden's farm, Pierpont, Ohio, and that senior was getting on the train to go to Cleveland visiting. Managed to get myself into one hell of an asthma attack that visiting on this trip by playing in the hayloft. Yeah, that's Gene Holden holding Cynthia, and this is Pat Holden and some of his buddies. That's Aunt Jean, Mom's college roommate, and her husband. Here's Jean again. Must have gone out to eat. Mom carrying Cynthia. Mary Jean, Don. Her farmhouse. Oh, this is Bud and Louise's house. Bud made that house. It was, I don't think it was really, maybe it was a prefab, but it wasn't already made. It was like a kit. I think you bought the pieces and put it together. And he did a hell of a job. That's Louise. God, it's been a long time since I've seen that house, but it was really out in the boonies at the time. It's not anymore. That's an old Packard. I think that Packard was one that Mom bought with the idea of teaching Grandma Crow to drive, something that never got accomplished. Seems to me that white picket fence was the border between our yard and Murray's. So yeah, that's Murray's driveway. We're back in Chicago now. That's John Murray's hose. I can see it back there. He raised flowers, especially roses, right in that front yard. Was always fiddling around with them. This looks like another Christmas. Probably the next year. It was probably Christmas 1953 at least. Everybody's looking a little older here. Cynthia. Mary Jean got some cosmetics. these records, I don't know that it is in this particular case, but we had a lot of, had a little record player, and we used to play, we had comedy records, same characters that were on cartoons, stories, things like that, that we would listen to. We had Sylvester the Cat and Tweety Bird. So that might have been what those what records were all about. That might have been a little toy piano for Cynthia. We had no indication at that time that she had perfect pitch. Yeah, that's what it is. Oh, that's Mary Murray, Mary Camille Murray. That was Uncle Raj in the foreground. It's Lynn. Oh, that's Aunt Lynn. She's a pretty lady. My recollection was she was born in France. Funny, that's being on tape now. That's the movie screen. That's Mary Murray again. And that's Uncle John Murray. These big holiday times were often the time for families and friends to get together. Another bath scene. That's Cynthia. Bethy. I remember that basket. I don't remember what came in it. A shirt, apparently a pair of big buttons. Looks like maybe pajamas, but I think it's a shirt and a belt. Don't look too thrilled. Fake smile. This might have been Easter instead of Christmas. I don't see any decorations. I can't see that calendar. Yeah, it's another basket, so I guess that's the Easter Bunny. off to church. Now, let's see, where is this? This is back in, that's Ephraim. This is on the northern part of Peninsula State Park, Door County, Wisconsin. Beautiful, beautiful town. See Ephraim? Real pretty, very quaint, very reminiscent of New England. We didn't stay here, by the way. This was just when we were out taking a drive. And again, this is that spot where we'd go and spend the month of August, so Mom would be relieved from hay fever. Pretty far north and rather cool swimming. But with having, there are a lot of other people did the same kind of thing, and so we had a pretty good time with all our friends. This little bay was quite protected. There was a long pier that enclosed it, and the town of Fish Creek was just across this bay. I don't know that, I can't see that it shows in the, but right across there. Oh, this was a little jet-powered model boat that I had. It used a CO2 cartridge, and you were to puncture that cartridge, and with it expelling the CO2 gas, it acted like a jet. That made a very small hole. It didn't go very fast. I think there's one picture here where it really gets rolling. Now, this was the canoe that Grandpa and I built. I pictured Dad helping a lot, but he said that Grandpa and I we decided to build a sail rig using lumber and 2x4s. As you can see, it was not a great success, but it sure kept us busy. And we made that rig. Notice the spreader and the guy lines. I don't know how the hell we did that, because this is still before the end of grade school, and that may well have been one of the Sun girls. I forgotten there. This again, that very pretty peninsula. That's one of the offshore islands. Been back to that. There's one out there called Horseshoe Island. Has a very beautiful cove. A lot of people now go there with their sailboats. It's a beautiful anchorage. That's Ephraim Bay. This area is a beautiful vacation area. It's since become much more popular because of the fishing for lake trout and the coho salmon. Here's the cliffs along the edge of that peninsula. Now we're back in Chicago, wintertime scene. Oh my God, riding a bicycle on snow, that's a trick. So this has got to be either 7th or 8th grade year. I can't tell that badge on my belt. If I was captain of this patrol, this would be my 8th grade year, age 13 or so. Wintertime Boy Scout hike. That's, let's see if I can see if that's, Used to go to the Indiana Dunes, Warren Dunes. It looked like Jan Costrabala, though I don't remember him being part of Scouts. That sure looks like him. Christmas time again. You can see the camera came out primarily on Christmases. Anyway, we wouldn't camp in the snow. Those pictures would, we'd go to a cabin that we'd rent from the state park system that was had a heated, wood heat stove, and we really had a very good time. Grandpa in the left corner of the picture. Another band concert. This is outside again in that's Captain Sylvester. It's in the school ground of the Kellogg. I'm playing the trumpet right there. My recollection is one of Bethy played the flute. I think that's her right there. That was my 8th grade teacher right there, Murray McManus, and the big fat principal was Helen Downey. Like running races. Here's Bob Bennett, one of my good buddies. This must have been some kind of a field day where we showed what the gym classes would or could do. Mary Jean. That's her jumping up and down, always moving. Boom, 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 boom. Ah, that's Max Clark. They must have come to visit us, and he's mowing the lawn. I'll be darned. This is the man that we met for the first time in the Yellowstone National Park. His wife Mary. Grandpa's park bench.